You know what is strange about financial lies? The most expensive ones usually do not sound reckless, manipulative, or obviously stupid. They sound calm, mature, practical, and responsible, which is exactly why so many people follow them for years before realizing they have been quietly building a weaker life. That is what makes bad money advice so dangerous, because it rarely arrives wearing a villain costume and twirling a mustache while trying to steal your future. It usually comes from parents who love you, friends who mean well, co-workers who sound confident, and experts who repeat the same tired ideas because everyone else is already repeating them. And when advice is socially approved, emotionally comforting, and easy to repeat at dinner, people almost never stop to ask the only question that actually matters. What is this belief going to cost me over the next 10, 20, or 40 years? Because some money lies do not just make you a little less efficient. Some of them reroute your entire adult life. They delay investing, normalize debt, trap you in weak career decisions, and quietly transfer hundreds of thousands of dollars away from you while still sounding like common sense. So today I want to rank 7 of the most expensive financial lies people still believe, starting with the smaller damage and working our way toward the advice that can wreck an entire career. And I am not talking about obvious nonsense like crypto bros promising you freedom by Thursday or a stranger in a rented Lamborghini telling you that mindset is the only thing between you and private aviation. I am talking about the kind of advice normal people say out loud with a straight face, the kind of advice that gets repeated in families, schools, break rooms, podcasts, and polite little conversations about being responsible. By the end of this, you are going to see which beliefs are merely annoying, which ones are expensive, and which ones can quietly cost you a fortune. Nick here, and if you have ever done what sounded smart, what sounded safe, what sounded mature, and still wondered why your money never seems to gain real momentum, this is probably going to explain a lot. Let's get into it. Number 7. You need to carry credit card debt to build credit. This is one of the dumbest lies in personal finance, and thankfully, it is also one of the cheaper ones. The advice usually sounds something like this. You should leave a little balance on your card, because paying everything off in full does not show the bank that you can actually handle debt. That sounds believable for about 5 seconds, right up until you realize the bank is not giving you points for paying interest like some kind of loyalty program for poor decisions. Your credit is built by using credit and paying on time. It is not built by donating extra money to the card company every month because someone's cousin heard that revolving debt looks impressive. If you carry a modest balance year after year, the total damage is not life-destroying, but it is still real. A person who keeps a balance and pays interest for years is often spending thousands of dollars to create exactly zero additional benefit. That is why this lie ranks last. It is unnecessary, it is dumb, and it is expensive enough to matter, but compared to the monsters higher on this list, it is still a small leak. The fix is painfully simple. Use the card, pay the full statement balance every month, build credit the normal way, and keep your money instead of sponsoring a bank's quarterly earnings call. Number 6. If you can afford the monthly payment, you can afford the purchase. This lie has destroyed more budgets than people realize, because it sounds so practical and so adult. You are not asking whether something is a good use of capital, whether it creates opportunity cost, or whether it keeps you financially weak. You are asking the much softer question. Can I make the monthly number work? That question has probably sold more overpriced cars, furniture plans, electronics, and lifestyle upgrades than any advertising campaign in history. Because almost anything can be made to feel affordable if you stretch the term, lower the monthly number, and stop looking at what the full price will do to the rest of your life. That is how people end up financing comfort like they are running a small private equity firm for their own impulses. The couch is only $90 a month. The phone upgrade is only $40 a month. The car is only $680 a month. The gym package is only a tiny little recurring charge, and suddenly your income is not funding a life. It is servicing a pile of decisions that all looked reasonable when viewed one monthly payment at a time. This lie is dangerous because it trains people to evaluate purchases in the weakest possible way. It does not ask whether the thing is worth the cost. It only asks whether the pain can be spread out thin enough to avoid immediate discomfort. That is not affordability. That is anesthesia. And when you build a life around monthly payment thinking, you stop making decisions as an investor and start making them as a borrower. That shift alone can quietly cost tens of thousands over time. Number 5. You should wait until life settles down before you start investing. This one sounds mature, and that is exactly the problem. People say they will invest when the job is more stable, when rent is lower, when the kids are older, when they finish paying something off, when they feel less stressed, or when they finally feel like they have enough margin to do it properly. The issue is that life almost never sends you a formal letter confirming that things are now officially settled and you may begin building wealth. For most adults, life stays at least mildly chaotic forever. There is always a reason to delay. There is always a bill, a trip, a transition, a messy season, a rough month, or a new excuse that sounds responsible because it is wrapped in caution. And while you are waiting to feel ready, time is doing what time always does. It is moving. That matters because investing is not powered only by how much you invest. It is powered by how early the money gets to start compounding. A person who starts small and messy often beats the person who starts later and cleaner. Not because they are smarter, but because time is absurdly powerful. The early years matter more than people think. Missing 3, 5, or 7 years at the front end of the compounding curve can cost more than most people save by being careful in the first place. This is why the lie is so expensive. It does not feel like a mistake. It feels like postponing until conditions improve. But the market does not care whether your life feels tidy yet. And your future wealth does not get bigger just because your delay sounded reasonable at the time. Number 4. Renting is throwing money away. This is one of the most emotionally sticky lies in modern money culture. People say it like it is a universal law, as if paying rent is financial failure, while buying any house in any market under any conditions is automatically sophisticated. That idea survives because homeownership is not just treated as a financial decision. It is treated like a moral promotion. Renting looks temporary, buying looks grown up, and because those feelings are powerful, people stop doing the math. The problem is that buying a house is not just paying for shelter. It is paying for interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance, transaction costs, and the opportunity cost of the down payment you no longer have available for anything else. In some markets and in some situations, buying absolutely wins. In others, renting and investing, the difference is far stronger. The expensive part is not choosing one over the other. The expensive part is assuming the answer in advance because someone told you that paying a landlord is always wasted money. A lot of people have bought houses mainly to escape the emotional discomfort of renting, then discovered that ownership is just a more expensive kind of housing when the numbers are wrong. Now they have higher fixed costs, less flexibility, more maintenance, and a giant asset they are terrified to admit may not have been a good deal. That is why this lie ranks high. It pushes people into six-figure commitments based on cultural emotion instead of actual math. Number 3. College is always worth it if it helps you get a degree. This used to be closer to true than it is now, which is one reason the lie has survived so long. For a previous generation, college was often cheaper, debt was lower, and the economic payoff was much more reliable. So parents, teachers, and institutions built an entire moral storyline around it. Go to college, get the degree, build the future. The problem is that this stopped being universally true a long time ago. Now the return depends on cost, major, school, debt load, career path, and whether the income on the other side actually justifies the time and money being invested. That means college is not a guarantee. It is a financial decision. And like any financial decision, it can be brilliant or brutal. If someone spends a relatively modest amount to enter a high-paying field with strong demand, that can be a fantastic investment. If someone borrows a fortune for a degree with weak income outcomes, they have not purchased security. They have purchased a delayed financial handicap with a campus tour. What makes this lie so expensive is not just the debt. It is the lost years of earnings, the delayed investing, the career rigidity, and the emotional pressure to defend the decision even when the math is not working. People will cling to a bad educational investment for years because admitting it was overpriced feels like admitting they were fooled. That is how six-figure mistakes keep pretending to be wisdom. Number 2. New car payments are normal adult life. This is one of the most socially accepted wealth destroyers in existence. People talk about car payments the way they talk about utility bills, like they are just part of being a functioning grown-up with places to go and responsibilities to handle. But a car payment is not the same thing as having transportation. It is a specific and extremely expensive way of having transportation. That distinction matters. A reliable used car can get you where you need to go. A brand new financed vehicle mostly gets you there while draining your future in a much more stylish format. What makes the lie so destructive is repetition. It is not one payment. It is one payment, then another, then another, then another, stretched across an entire working life. That means you are not just paying for cars. You are making a permanent habit of sending a large monthly amount toward a depreciating asset while giving up the opportunity to invest that same cash into something that grows. This is why the real cost becomes absurd. It is not just the sticker price, the interest, the insurance, the maintenance, and the fuel. It is what those monthly payments could have become if they had been redirected into assets instead of metal, glass, status, and temporary new car smell. A lifetime of normal car payments can quietly eat a massive amount of wealth. And the reason people do not feel that damage in real time is because society has normalized it so thoroughly that refusing the cycle feels strange while participating in it feels mature. That is the trick. The expensive choice has been socially framed as the responsible one. Number 1. Follow your passion and the money will figure itself out. This is the most expensive lie on the list because it does not distort one purchase or one account. It distorts your entire earning life. When people hear this advice, it sounds inspirational, warm, and noble. It makes work sound like a journey towards self-expression rather than what it usually is, which is an economic exchange inside a market that does not care whether you feel spiritually aligned while doing it. That does not mean passion is worthless. It means passion and market value are not the same thing. You can love something deeply and still be paid terribly for it. You can feel emotionally neutral about a profession and still build tremendous financial strength through it. The problem with this lie is that it asks people to organize one of the most important financial decisions of their life around emotion first and economics second. That is backwards. Your career is the engine that funds the rest of your life. If you underpower the engine because someone told you that love of the work will magically attract money, you are not making a poetic decision. You are often making a compounding one. Lower earnings do not just mean smaller paychecks. They mean smaller investments, less flexibility, weaker savings, fewer options, more stress, and a much thinner margin for error over several decades. That is why this lie sits at number 1. A weak career decision echoes longer than almost anything else. You can recover from an overpriced purchase. You can recover from a bad year. Recovering from decades of under-earning is much harder. And the uncomfortable truth is that many people would be far better off choosing work based on demand, skill fit, tolerability, and income potential than using that stable income to fund a passionate life outside the office. That is not cynical. That is expensive reality. What all of these lies have in common. Here is the pattern underneath the whole list. None of these lies survives because it is mathematically strong. They survive because they are emotionally satisfying. They make people feel responsible, hopeful, mature, or morally good. Carrying a balance makes people feel like they are using credit properly. Buying a house makes people feel adult. Going to college makes people feel secure. Taking the monthly payment makes the purchase feel manageable. Following passion makes work feel meaningful. Waiting to invest feels prudent. Normalizing car loans feels realistic. The lie is never just about money. It is about identity. And when a false belief supports identity, people will defend it much harder than they defend a spreadsheet. That is why bad financial advice lasts for generations. It does not need to be true. It only needs to feel respectable, the part that should stay with you. A lot of bad financial advice is not bad because it is evil. It is bad because it is outdated, emotionally comforting, and financially lazy. That combination is more than enough to ruin people. Because if you follow expensive beliefs long enough, they stop feeling like beliefs and start feeling like life. You stop questioning the car payment, the degree, the delayed investing, the monthly financing, the home purchase, the career logic, because the pattern becomes normal. And normal is one of the most expensive words in personal finance. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. Do not ask whether a piece of advice sounds mature, sounds inspiring, or sounds socially approved. Ask what it costs. Ask what happens if you follow it for 10 years. Ask whether it builds flexibility, ownership, assets, optionality, and peace, or whether it simply helps you feel temporarily responsible while quietly keeping you behind. Because the most dangerous money lies are not the ones that sound ridiculous. They are the ones that sound like wisdom. That's it for this one. If this changed the way you think about normal financial advice, hit subscribe and share this with someone who is not being ruined by one giant mistake. They are just following respectable sounding nonsense one decision at a time.